Hello, everyone, and welcome into the latest episode of the SPYPOINT podcast. I'm your host, Trent Marsh. Today, I have the great honor of being joined by, a fellow bearded human, which is nice. We've got a run on the podcast here lately, but a bearded human with some connection to some other beards that most of you probably know, Justin Martin of Duck Commander and a million other places that you've seen Justin. So excited to have him on the podcast today. Before we get going, I want to remind you all to rate, review, subscribe wherever it is that you're consuming podcasts, like and comment, and just let people other help find the content. Certainly you're not here for me. You're here to talk to Daddy to be Justin Martin. So we'll kick off with that. For those that maybe don't know or haven't followed along, you got not just one, but a couple bundles of joy headed your way here before too long, don't you?
Yeah, I mean it's something, this whole deal has been like such a whirl, and for those that haven't, I'll give the brief version, but like we went to the doctor and there was one baby. All right, cool. High five. We dodged twins because I always thought like twins. My dad was an identical twin. So like it was always in the back of my mind, like this could happen, So we went, had the ultrasound, everything. It's like, oh no, look, one beautiful, everything looks great. Okay, cool. And then we went to the next one, and all of a sudden there were two faces looking at me on that ultrasound machine. And I was like, wait, what? I thought you said there was one. So me and the doctor had a little talk. I told her I had some serious trust issues with her and her profession. But we got through it when she told me that it was in fact like a BOGO. So she said it's the same price. I don't care how many of them. She said it only gets more expensive when they come out. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. That's fine. So yeah, we've got twin boys. That was another thing that changed. It started as one boy, one girl, and then apparently we had a late bloomer. So now we've got twin boys that are scheduled to be here the end of October. But according to them, if we can get mama to October 1st, we will make the decision then on what to do. Based on their health, mom's health, and everything going forward. So our goal right now is really October 3rd, because October 1st is opening day of bow season in Louisiana. So I'd like to get a couple of days.
I was going to say that it's real convenient there early. You got nothing else going on that time of year. You can just settle into being a dad with nothing else going on. Yeah, perfect timing.
Here's what I'll say about that. I've told everybody this since the beginning. I said, it's just proof that the good Lord's got a sense of humor. A few years ago, we quote unquote tried getting pregnant. And then life began to get a little more hectic again. So we put the necessary precautions in place there. And just, we were happy with whatever we had going on. Right. I mean, nothing, no big deal, nothing. Let me close that email out. That I don't ever get anything until you're recording something. But but my wife came to me earlier in the year, towards the end of last year, and she said, I'm just sick and tired of being on birth control and all that. And I said, well, let's stop. Like I'm cool. Like, because the first time we were off for a little while, nothing happened. I said, you know what, we'll stop. We'll let the good Lord shake out what's supposed to happen. If we get pregnant, we get pregnant. If we don't, it's something neither one of us had a problem with, was adoption. Like we didn't need the biological sense of having offspring to know that we could raise kids and be a family. And lo and behold, 2 months later, we got the confirmation that we were pregnant. I remember so vividly. She was so adamant late one night about going to get a pregnancy test. And I was like, what? We're talking like 2 days here. Like what, off of her schedule. And I'm like, crap, you've been like 2 weeks before when you were all like your body just adjusting to none of those medicines and all. And she said, well, I'm not going to be able to sleep unless I get it. I told her, I said, fine, go waste the money, whatever. I don't care. I said, I ain't going with you. Like, so I just sat there watching whatever I was watching on TV. She went to the store, got one, and she come back and she didn't even like stop by me. She just went straight to the restroom and I heard a yelp. And I said, you don't yelp if it's negative. And, so we broke all the rules there, which I guess should have been like a hint, like, because she took it at night, late at night. You're supposed to wait till early in the morning if you're early and, all that stuff. And as soon as she did her business on that stick, it said, boom, pregnant. And I said, nah, man, that was faulty, right? Nothing to it. And no, she did another one. And sure enough, as soon as it hit the stick, pregnant. And I was like, oh boy. Because you're never, I don't know that you're
boys, as it ended up being.
As it turns out. I don't know that you're ever really ready on the first ones, because these are our first one and two. So you can.
I'm here to tell you, mine are 3 and 5, and I'm still not convinced I'm ready. So it doesn't really matter all that much.
In our case, and like our house was the prototypical married couple, no kids, right? I mean, I had my own hunting room. Like she had her little area. We called her vibe room because she loves like old style music and has a bunch of stuff on vinyl and all that. So now neither one of us have either of our rooms, and we're like probably 70% done with a remodel to make this house baby friendly, kid friendly. And man, it's been wild. I mean, I look at it and I know that we're in August now, and these guys are supposed to be here in October, and I'm still trying to figure out where the time went from February till now. Like, because it just seems like it went,
and it just keeps going faster.
It just keeps going
faster. And it's one of those deals where, at least for me, and maybe it's just because my personality trends this way anyhow, it's either the very best thing on earth, or you question every life decision that brought you to this moment and how did this happen? And they're pretty good about balancing out those best moments when you're questioning they somehow they know. I don't know how they do it, but congratulations to both of you, and I'm looking forward to the little ones getting here, because I'm not having to change those diapers. So we're beyond that, and I can just see the cute pictures on Instagram and call it good from my end. But congratulations for sure.
Yeah, man, we're super excited. I've told everybody we have felt every emotion under the sun, right? Like from excitement to panic to fear, like you name it. Like we felt it, but it's getting more and more real. And we're ready. I say ready. You're as ready as you're going to get. I've always said there's 2 things in life that everybody sucks at, and it's marriage and parenting, because you've never been either. Right. You have to figure out what works for you in both of those scenarios. Like you can read all the books, you can do all the things, but until it's DEFCON 5 and you're right smack in the middle of it, you don't know what you're going to do and how you're going to react. So, I think it's vitally important that your partner is on your team. And like, that's what I've told her, October, right, hunt for a living, do all those things. And I've just basically said, you know what, 2023 is going to be my year. I'm voluntarily, I ain't saying I ain't gonna hunt. I can't survive life. Okay. I am saying that it will for sure be about 4th on my list of things to do this fall, because that time's coming, man. I've had a lot of life already, and I got hopefully a lot of life in front of me. So if I need to pause for a year to to be the teammate that my wife needs me to be, then that's what I'm going to be. And it's not even, everybody jokes with me like, oh, she's doing it. I'm like, no, I'm voluntarily doing this. I'm not,
Right.
She's not going to have to force me. I was a part of this decision. I was a part of what happened, and I'm going to still be a part of it. So super excited and just trying to figure out what the fall looks like too, man. I'm 100% committed to being a dad first, to being a husband first and being a dad second. And whatever that looks like, however many ducks' lives are spared because of that, then y'all go back north, make a bunch of little ones, and I'll see you next year.
See you next year. Well, and we're to the point now, my oldest turned 5 this year. So it was his first turkey hunt this year. He's, from February to now, you said it's been gone by in a blink. And the next thing you know, they're going to be 5 years old twins, and they're going to be wanting to get out. And it's amazing how quick you make that pivot from where am I going? What am I doing to where are we going to go hunt?
Yeah. Can I bring them?
Can I get a +2 on that? And I was way more excited to get Roman his first turkey this spring, and now we're August and deer season's around the corner, and same thing, he wants to give deer season a try. So here the end of September, when youth season opens up, that is goal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, all the way to about 12, is figure out a way to get him on a deer and make that happen. The turkey thing didn't come together, but we had 3 or 4 jakes right on top of us at, literally 15 feet, just right outside of the blind. And he was on the gun, and it happened like we said it would. And I said, can you see him? Yep, I can see him. Can you see your dot? Yep. And then, they're jakes, they're buggy. They heard us whisper and they saw us move, whatever. And they kind of bugged out and they left. I said, well, what happened, buddy? He goes, well, I was trying to put the dot on their head, but they were moving too much and I couldn't do it. So I couldn't shoot. Well, could have knocked me over with a feather. I've hunted with grown-ups that couldn't have made that decision. They'd have just got turkeys in your lap and hearing gobbles for the first time and pulling the trigger maybe when they shouldn't have. And he just sat back and said, no, this isn't how I wanted it to go. And I'm not going to pull the trigger. And whether we filled a tag or not, I can't think of a better success story than that for his first season. So now with that behind us, we've done it. We've sat in the blind. Now comes fall, and we'll go out there and we'll try it a little bit different when deer season gets here and go from there. So it's
hearing that, tell your son he can hunt with me anytime he wants to.
I'll let him know.
Because like what you said, most adults lose all sense of that when it's right there in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say even when I was young, I don't know what I'd have done. I would have sprayed and prayed on my first one, there they are, and just boom, probably wouldn't have killed nothing. But by God, I shot, that kind of deal. But that's super cool to hear somebody that young to have that discipline. That is a parenting, coaching, training well done on your part. So
he's too smart for me. That's all I know. He's too smart. He's too smart for me. Has to. For his sake, I hope so. So you've had that going on, which has kept you busy, but that's not the only thing that's kept you busy this summer. You kind of been bouncing all over. What have you been doing in the interim?
Man, it's been a busy summer, which is super cool. To kind of see the world getting back into being humans again, being a society again, I guess, for lack of a better term. I did a charity fishing tournament for my buddy Jacob Wheeler, something that he's decided to do the last 2
fellow
years.
Hoosier, I'll point out real quick, fellow Indiana boy.
He is an Indiana boy living in the hillbilly land now. But he's done it 2 years in a row, and I applaud him with their schedule too, because it's hectic. But last year we did a college fishing tournament where we brought in the top 100 college teams in the country, and no entry fees, no nothing, just straight fishing. And we were able to raise enough money to give them like $10,000 worth of scholarship money, the winners. And then this year, because it's high school, it's kind of weird on what they can win and whatnot. We were able, because we have a shared partner in Academy Sports and Outdoors, we were able to give them a couple of $1,000s worth of Academy gift cards to help them with equipment and all that kind of things. Just with all the rules and regs, it's just kind of weird. And our friends, like even over at Realtree and Rapala, donated $1,000 each day to Big Bass. So these kids, they got to really experience something cool. And it's cool to see a guy that's on top of the world and what he's doing and everything he's doing to take the time to give back to these kids, which these kids are our future, right? I mean, if we want to keep working our jobs, it takes getting this level that involved in the sport, whether it be hunting, fishing. You know, as you know, a lot of it has a lot of crossover. So most hunters don't just hunt, they fish, and most fishermen hunt a little too. You know, so cool deal to be a part of that. And then, you know, it's starting, we're now crowding August. So now all the hunting shows are coming. I just spent last weekend in Little Rock at the Delta Waterfowl National Convention thing they had there. And then today my lovely background is not my home. It is, I'm in a hotel room in Austin, Texas to do a launch that Academy is doing with their Magellan brand and Shiner beer. So staying super Texas and like a cool Magellan Shiner clothing concept. And they got a bunch of different stuff coming this fall that is really something cool, right? I mean, anytime you get to play with these other brands outside of our spectrum, it's really kind of neat. So gonna get to hang out with the guys from Shiner tonight and that whole crew and see what they're doing. They're kind of an American-made, American dream story from a small home brew to now. If you go to restaurants and look at a menu, you've probably seen some form of Shiner on a menu. And so, yeah, it's cool, man. Celebrating all things America. Next weekend, I'll be at Game Fair up in Minnesota. And then home for just a couple of, not long before I'm in Wyoming chasing whitetails. So that's the only hunt I kept on my schedule was that one out in 7J in Wyoming. So because, man, it's become like a ritual now. This will be, I think, my 10th year out there. Gotcha. So it's kind of like my college football kickoff, you know, like that it used to be dove season was the kickoff to hunting season. But now for me, since Realtree started that about 10 years ago, that is now like green flag. Let's go racing, boys. And so looking forward to it, man. Very, you know, we're all very blessed to get to do what we do for a living. You know, I caution a lot of people that are sitting there saying, man, I'd kill to do this and that, do that. Just trust me. When I tell you this is work, it looks really, really fun. But when you have to wake up and go hunting, you don't get to make the choice. You are forced to go do it. It is a job. And at the end of the day, don't forget, it's a great job. I am not complaining. But don't ever think that we ain't sitting in hotel rooms waiting to do the next thing. You know, when y'all got off at 5:00 this afternoon, I'll be out till 10 or 11 tonight with this product launch and all that kind of stuff. And on an airplane at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning to get back to West Monroe to go work my day job at Duck Commander. You know, so like, it's just, you know, I caution all those, you know.
It's come up on the podcast, you know, and partially it's because of, you know, who's on and partially because that's been something that I've said, you know, for as long as I've been in the industry, which I'm not going to put a date on because it'll just make me feel old. But yes, my to-do list is way cooler than a lot of other to-do lists. But it's work. I work in marketing in the shooting sports industry, and you ask most people what they think that means. Well, shoot, from August to December, you're just hunting with all your friends, right? And I mean, we've had the conversation. A number of times you've tried to get me down to Louisiana to shoot some birds. And it's like, well, I'd love to, but I got catalogs to finish and trade show booths to finish. And it just, all that busy time of year is that time of year that we'd like to be in the field. And every so often you're able to pull something together and make it happen. And, you know, it's great to be able to pick up the phone and have a conversation with folks like you, or, you know, I've run into, we talked about Jacob Wheeler a little bit ago when I, you know, doing some freelance stuff, run into him at the Indiana Deer and Turkey Expo right after he won the Classic. And yes, that is super cool, but it's still work. It always is. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Anybody that tells you find a job you love doing and you'll never work a day in your life is a liar. It's still work. It's better than digging ditches. Don't get me wrong. But if you don't treat it like work and you don't approach it like work, you won't be doing it very long, because there's somebody else out there that's going to hustle and work at it harder than you are. So I don't discourage anybody from getting into it, but, you know, come into it with realistic expectations too, because it is 100% work.
And what I will say, though, the good thing about digging ditches, because I've done that too, is when you clock out, you're off. Mm-hmm. When you do what we do, this guy, he don't ever stop.
Nope. That phone is always going.
We're so fortunate. We can work from anywhere, which also means you work 24 hours a day sometimes. I mean, like, you know,
well, you know, I worked for an optics company, and at the end of my run with that optics company, the two things I wanted to do more than anything else was waterfowl hunt and fish. Because you didn't really need optics for either one of those things. But I didn't feel like I could go sit in a tree stand, especially, and social media has made this so much worse, because you can't just go and sit and hunt. You need to be taking a lifestyle photo. You need to end up with a hero shot. You need to get a product video done. You should be doing a how-to, and you're sitting there doing something. Like, you're in the position that you're in because you love and are so passionate about what you do. But then because you're not able to get that distance from it, it gets really hard. And I mean, you know, you've been around. How many people have you seen come into the industry and they do great things, but then they turn around, they flame out, they burn out because the nature of where we're at right now with how we promote things and social media and all of that, it is, me personally, it is the thing that I absolutely struggle with the most, you know, and, you know, working from home, you know, it's great because wife and kids are right here, but so's the computer. Yeah. And there's a lot of days where, you know, it gets to 4:30 or 5 o'clock and I have to force myself to walk away. And at 7 after supper, I have to force myself to not come back down here. And it's a balancing act, and it's not just our industry, and it's something that, especially, you know, coming out of COVID and getting back to normal society, and so many people working from home that haven't in the past are kind of dealing with that too, even if it's not in an industry that, you know, just, you know, selling dental equipment or whatever the case may be. It's putting strains on some parts of our lives where we didn't necessarily have those before. And then when you factor in the complication of, you know, working in an industry that you are so passionate about, then your free time and what your release is supposed to be ends up becoming something else that feels like is a to-do list. Sometimes it's tough. It's something I've struggled with, you know, here and there and on again and off again for a long time.
Yeah, I make it, even in what we do, I make it a priority. Like on the weekends during hunting season, no cameras other than opening days. No cameras, no cell phones. Let's just go hunt. Let's go have fun. Let's remember why we do this. And then I treat it a lot of times like a job. Monday through Friday, I'm going to have my phone. I'm going to have my cameras. We're going to knock out all the stuff we need to knock out. But on Mondays or on Saturdays and Sundays, we're just gonna go hunt. We're gonna have fun, and if that means we sleep in at the camp and we wake up and go out at 8 o'clock, that's what we do. Like,
right.
And it took me a while to get to that point, and I was the same way on almost fizzling out in this deal, because when I started, it was 60 days. Duck season is 60 days. By God, I had to do all of them. I had to, right? I mean, it's the 60 days I work, I do it for a living. I got to do it. No. I was like, I was getting to the point where I was like, I hate this crap. Like, why? I don't care. Chicken is good. Like, you know, like I just got to a point, and then I said, you know what? Next year I'm changing. And ever since I made the change of, I hunt on good days. I hunt on when the conditions tell me to hunt. I hunt. And if I'm forced to go on a not so good day because we have people or clients or whatever and partners, yeah, that's fine. But now my duck season looks more like 45 to 50 days out of 60. And even just those 10 days make a world of difference. But that is something I think everybody, regardless of your occupation, you have to remember to set boundaries, keep things in perspective, and just make sure that you do things to make sure that you don't fizzle out on whatever it is, whether it's, molding plastic or making duck calls or, whatever, plumbing. I mean, just make sure that you stay on top of your game, because what you do is you get sloppy too. Like when you get burnt out, you get sloppy. You start making mistakes. It doesn't matter what that craft is. So I think that's why you see people, but like you said, there's some that just can't get their priorities in line, and they forget about family and forget about this. And then your personal life goes into the dumpster. And then when that happens, so does your professional life. And so it's just you just have to be mindful. The cool thing about us is we're surrounded by a group of guys that are willing to grab you by the shirt collar and tell you that, hey, boom, get your act together. And that's invaluable. If I had to give anybody in the world that advice, is to find those people that will do that to you. The world's full of people that'll tell you yes. Find the people that'll tell you no, and keep them close, so. But yeah, if you do all those things, you can thrive in this business or in any other business for that matter. But you just kind of have to, but you have to figure it out, and I'm happy to help glean information anywhere I can for people on mistakes that I've made, and hope that they don't make them too. But a lot of times it takes touching that hot stove and getting that blister on your finger before it really hits home. Oh yeah, that's a bad deal.
Good judgment comes from experience. Experience comes from bad judgment.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I put my hand straight on that stove many a times.
Big calluses on those hands here too.
Yeah,
for sure.
For sure.
So like you said, we are at August, and duck season is way closer than I think most people are thinking about waterfowl season in general. And I'm one of these people. I wasn't, the hunting that we did growing up was not waterfowl hunting, just wasn't. And I think a lot of folks look at waterfowl hunting. I think upland kind of falls into this category as well, as like fly fishing, where if you weren't raised around it or have that kind of mentor network to kind of show you how to go about it, it's a little more nuanced than going and sitting in the woods and shooting a deer. There's a lot more going on. And a lot of people ask, for the beginner, the guy that's just getting started and isn't really sure what to do in waterfowl, what can he do? But I want to ask it a little bit different. Because I know a lot of guys they'll set up decoys in the field, or they'll, march into the swamp and they might shoot a few ducks. But the guys that for the most part know what they're doing, you can read all the how to get started. Once you've got that stuff down, what's separating those guys that know what they're doing from being the top 1 or 3% waterfowl hunter out there? What are those fine tuning changes that somebody, that if they really want to get serious about it, really want to get good at it, where are those gaps that people need to fill in?
Well, I think to me, what I feel like took my hunting to the next level on ducks and really figuring them out, which is, it's kind of a weird saying on figuring ducks out. One of the major problems with ducks is they're migratory. So unlike deer or turkeys, or I can't feed them and keep them and give them a place to, I mean, I can, but ultimately they're driven by two things, just like anything else. And that's, we got to eat and we got to reproduce. And the weather plays a huge factor with them on being able to do both of those things. So, it's just, you kind of have to start looking at duck behavior, to me, as a year-round trend to figure out, to become that next level. What do I mean by year-round? What specifically does their diet call for? What's coming next for these ducks? Forget about the 60 days. What's in front of them? So like early season, the early migrators, whatever, they stay together, big family groups. That's when you see all the TV stuff that you've seen through the years of big wads of 300-400 ducks doing their thing. That's all big family groups that have gotten together and said, we're going to migrate together. There's safety in numbers. We're gone. But as that year goes on, those ducks get broken up, they get killed, they whatever, and they start, but then eventually the reproduction part starts taking over. So what do those ducks need physically to survive them? What are they looking for? And when you know the things that they're looking for, when their diet changes from grain to bugs, or from bugs to grain, or whatever is the next step of their life, then you can go to the same places every day and set up your decoys, and you can be fantastic on a duck call. But if you don't understand what that duck is doing for the next stage of his life, you're in trouble. Because those things move them more, because it's an act of survival. Like, it's not, give us a candy bar, right? And we're going to eat that candy bar, but we're not going to get anything out of it. But what gets me to tomorrow? Well, what gets me to tomorrow is probably some form of protein, or, something to fuel my body, to energize my body, where that candy bar is nothing. So it's just really understanding the animal. And what that does for you a lot of times is it limits your time in the field. One, you don't have to spend near as much time in the field. So you get to spend some time at home. So that to me, like, the ultimate hunter is the one that can balance all of those things and be successful, not only as a duck hunter, waterfowl hunter, but as a husband, as a dad, as a business guy. Can you manage? Because if given the choice, right, any of us could go duck hunt for 60 days and we can make piles of ducks and seem relatively successful. But how do you stack all of those together to become the most successful human? I tell everybody this. We get pictures all the time. They decide, I don't know if you can hear that vacuum outside my door.
Nope, but it's good.
But I tell people this all the time. We get lots of requests, just like you guys do. We blow duck commander. We won't be pro staff, all that. And all their pictures are of them with piles of ducks. Well, that doesn't impress me. That just doesn't impress me, because anybody can go kill a pile of ducks. I'm more impressed to know what you did to do that. Like, tell me how you did it. I don't care that you did it. Shooting a duck is easy. That's not hard. It's practice. And if you work them down in there right and you get them really close, they get really hard to miss. Everybody thinks we're great shots. No, we get them really close to us. That's the difference. We take the time to get them really close to us, and it makes you seem like a great shot. But what did you do? Did you understand that duck's biology? Did you change something on your land if you're hunting private land? Did you go to a different regime on your grasses and your sedges and stuff like that? Did you do all these, or did you just go pay an outfitter $500 to sit in a blind and kill a bunch of ducks because they've done all the work for you? If that's what you did, congratulations. I would, my hat's off to you. And that, back to your beginner question, like, that's the number one thing I tell people. If you're new to it, save your money, go buy a day with somebody, go buy a day with a professional, figure out if you like this, because it is expensive and the learning curve is steep. Like, it's not, like you said, it's not deer. You can't just go sit out there. But the guy that understands that full circle duck and can manage that efficiently and effectively with his time away from there and time away from home and all that, to me, becomes that next level hunter. You see guys do it all the time. That, like, I'll throw an example out there. Tony Vandemore. If you duck hunt, you've heard of him. Habitat Flats. Tony took a dream and a check and has built a waterfowl mecca. That doesn't have, I mean, you can be in the right location, but if you don't put in the work to do what he does, then you're not going to get the returns.
Right.
So, you know, the man is nonstop working on duck food. And we talk a lot about moist soil management because we're both nerds. We're both super big habitat nerds. And to me, like, you go through these stages as a hunter where, you know, the kill is all that matters. And then it's the this and the that. And you eventually get to the point where I'm at now, and where Tony is. And is the hunt and the kill and all that still fun? Yes, it is. But the fun part's the other 305 days of the year where you're manipulating things and you're controlling things and you're making it better for the animals. And we're not just making it better for the ducks, we're making it better for the deer, quail, cardinals, mice, like you name it. Everything benefits from our management practices. And that is when you've really, like, to me, transcended what hunting is about. If you're just satisfied with a take mindset from the resource, then you're a killer. You're not a hunter. And to me, there is a very big difference between the two. And our job in what we do is to raise more hunters, is to educate more hunters. Anybody can kill. Go get a gun, go get some bullets. You got a target, acquire a target, boom, it's over. But how do you get to that next full circle mindset? And if we do that in our jobs, then a lot of times we have long lasting careers in our jobs. If we're just straight killers and take from the resource, you may be popular for 2 or 3 years, and then nobody hears about you anymore. Because what have you done? And that, to me, is but really just getting a basic understanding of a duck, his survival needs, the nuances on of the area that you're hunting that lets you know to go here instead of here, even though everybody else is saying here. You know, it's and one big thing is something that I tell everybody that when they ask me how can I be better, is to keep a logbook, write down. History is the greatest teacher we got. Keep that logbook, write down these things. It'll knock out your time in the field as well. Like, I got places back home. I still hunt public a lot. It's a very big misconception that we hunt the best private holes in the world. And you know, we hunt a lot of them. I'm not going to lie, but I still, when I have my druthers and on those Saturdays and Sundays where there's no camera, I'm still schlepping on public ground because that's where I grew up doing it. Like,
right.
And that's what makes me, it rejuvenates me to keep going. But I can go back and look at logbooks from 2005, 2006. And I can look at river stages and weather patterns, and I can find the years, like I have them separated into like drought years, flood years. And I can go, whatever year is being dealt to me, I can go look, and I can look at river levels and all that kind of stuff. And I can go have a reasonably successful hunt without ever putting feet on the ground.
Right.
Because I know a duck is a duck. He's a creature of habit. Doesn't matter how many generations removed he is, he's going to tend to do the same thing, just like we are. Like, I tell everybody, if somebody was hunting me, I'd have been dead long ago. I take the same path to work every day. I take the same path home from work every day. I eat at one of 5 places if I'm eating out. You know, so like, I mean, I'd have been bleeding out both sides a long time ago. So and animals, all things in nature are creatures of habit. We all are, whether humans like to believe it or not. You're a creature of habit. And so are these ducks, and year after year. So if you'll do those things, you can really be super successful without spending a ton of money in gas, in equipment. Most of the places I public hunt, I walk in. I know how to get around, and I know, but that's come from time. That's come from walking lots of miles in chest waders.
Yep.
And so just go into that next step of not just showing up with a pocket full of shells and a shotgun is what will take that guy to the next level. Because look, I'm good on a duck call, but I'm probably not like even in the top 10% of duck callers in the world. Like there's a lot of people that can blow a duck call way better than me. And I kill more ducks than them just simply because I know what I know how to navigate those circumstances where they don't. They're going to go to their favorite hole and hope for the best.
Yeah.
And where I'm chasing flood waters or receding waters, and I understand what these ducks are doing.
The best duck caller where there are no ducks is still going to call in exactly 0 ducks.
Yeah, and according to the industry, the best duck caller in the world don't sound nothing like a mallard duck.
Well, and that it came up it always comes up during turkey season too, is some of the turkeys, and it's the same with ducks. I've heard sounds in the woods that if I sat in a blind with somebody and made that noise, they'd reach over and they just push my hand down and say, "You're done now."
Yeah. Yeah.
But half the ducks in the world aren't in the top 10% of duck callers in the world, and they're ducks.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's people ask me all the time. They're like, "Is it okay if I blow?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, blow your duck call. I don't care." And then I always tell them one thing. I said, "Do you have the cadence? You can literally sound like anything. You just have to have their timing is all you need. That little timing. I don't care what the sound is, because if you go listen to wild ducks on the water, it's the same deal. You're like, ugh, like, what was she thinking? Like, and heaven forbid a gadwall hen or a shoveler hen sound off like, and you're like, but they have that cadence. So as long as you have the right, you're good. Don't matter what the rest of it sounds like. So, yeah, I tell, if ducks, same way with deer, turkeys, were half as smart as we gave them credit for being, we wouldn't see them, let alone kill them. So,
yeah. If
keep
turkeys
everything in perspective,
if turkeys could smell, we'd never see them. That's always the line I always got.
I'm convinced that turkey's so dadgum stupid. He seems smart.
It's just about the size of it.
I think it's whatever side of his head that rock rolls to determines what he's going to do. I think it's like one of them things you have on your desk. It's got them 5 balls.
Just bounce back and forth.
Yeah, the ones on. I think that's what's going on up here. Because there ain't no way he's that smart.
So one thing that I know you do, and it's part of the reason we're having the conversation today, and it's something that's super unconventional. I don't think ducks typically come to mind when people think about trail cameras, but I think a lot of our answer has probably just been given in what we were just talking about in terms of understanding what that duck is doing in their life cycle. But I know you use trail cameras to help educate a lot of the decisions you're making, not necessarily for duck hunting, but for duck management. So from that standpoint, as we talk about somebody wanting to make that next level jump in how they are hunting ducks and managing habitat for ducks, how does a trail camera that is not traditionally thought of as a piece of duck hunting equipment, how does that factor into that equation?
Well, what trail cameras do, and they to me especially play a vital part now to duck hunting in the South, especially. With our changing weather patterns, changing landscape across the deal, is it allows you to scout without putting pressure on these ducks. A lot of times, in North Louisiana where we are. We get a pretty big push of ducks the 1st of November, give or take 3 or 4 days on either side of that. And a lot of times, though, that is our main push of ducks for the year. Like whatever we have that decides to call that area home is what we will have till February, provided no major weather systems, which, you know, we haven't had a major weather system in 5 years probably during season. Mm-hmm. We've had some after season, but that's neither here nor there. So what it does is I can keep an eye on a place without these ducks having to see a human, without them having to hear a motor, without them, with just no disturbance. I mean, other than whatever hawk, owl, fox, coyote, whatever would normally be there. So what does that do for you, though, is it's actually a way of giving back to the resource. So every way that you can not disturb these ducks, you're better off, because when a duck has to exert energy. So if you go in there and you flush a duck, he has all of a sudden exerted energy that he would not normally exert on that day. So what happens is then now he's opening himself up again to predation. He's in the air, hawk, owl, eagle, you name it. He has to go to a field to hunt, to eat or something like that. Chance he's going to run into a man with a shotgun. So it's really a way to me to help you save money, you save time, and it helps the ducks by giving them more rest, more breaks, just letting them be a duck. And what that does when you do that, if you have everything set right and all these things, you can slide in, get whatever ducks you feel happy to get. You know, for us, that changes. I rarely ever kill 6 per man per day. I don't see any sense in it. We're not eating to survive, we're not hunting to survive. We're hunting because we enjoy it. We're hunting because we love it. And if what we eat is a great side effect of what we get to do, and we're ultimately helping the ducks. So, you know, we slide in, do that, get in, get out real quick, and then let the ducks have it again. So the whole time in the back of our mindset, are we hunting ducks? Are we killing ducks? Yes, but the duck is the number one focus of what we're doing. And it's not for our success or our video or whatever. You know, I say it like that, we tax them a little bit for pouring so much money and so much work and effort into the ground. We tax it for a little bit, but knowing that our take is much smaller than what we're giving. Right. And that's just the way we've decided to do it. You know, but like I said, there was a time in my life when that was not the way that we decided to do it. It was, by God, we're going to stay till dark till we get 6 per man, you know, and man, my life is so much better. If I'd have known then what I know now,
right,
my life is so much better not having that mentality and that stress of did we get them or did we not? You know, but that's how we use trail cameras. And the cool thing is it'll show you, like I have like 4 that I leave pretty much in the same spots all year. And you see those shifts of, I'll have one in in one of my places that I call grass, but it's moist soil. So it's springle top and barnyard and all that kind of stuff. And to see the timing, like to know that when it warms up, that's where the ducks go. I didn't know that until I had these. Mm-hmm. Like I would always be like, why are they not in our trees anymore? Why are they not in here eating acorns? Why are they not in the rice fields? Where are they going? And then that started cluing me in. And I just started wondering, like, why do they do that on a warm up? Well, on a warm up, they go eat bugs because they need calcium. Calcium for what? For making eggs. And, you know, so it's just, and those bugs are like pure little shots of calcium for them. Their little exoskeletons are just pure calcium straight to their reserves. And it also helps in their molting feathers and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, that's the super nerdy way of getting in there and diving in. It's less about, it makes you don't care like when a duck's coming there, like, you know, like on a deer, like you really like trying to get dialed in. When's he doing this? When's the rut and all that kind of stuff. With a duck, you're more so just checking habitat usage and seeing what's there. Cause you're going, I mean, I'm going to go see the sunrise. Even if I know they ain't coming in there till 9 o'clock, by God, I'm watching that sun come up.
Right.
And that kind of deal. So it's really just a way to just watch your habitat, watch the transformations that happen. And it's cool because you can see migration shifts in there too. You can see like, oh my goodness, we just got a bunch of gadwalls. What are they doing? Or they ain't been there, and that kind of deal. So it just, and it lets you keep an eye on population numbers too, because those ducks are pretty good at avoiding us. They're as good at patterning us as we are patterning them.
Right.
I can do that right now. So yeah, it's a cool deal.
It's awesome insight for, especially, like I said, I've done some waterfowl. By no means I'm in the pantheon of things that I'm terrible at. Waterfowl hunting is way up there. So it's always cool to get, anytime you talk to somebody that knows what they know, it's fun to talk to experts. So that's great insight. I appreciate it. One other thing, because the audience would probably be a little upset if I didn't ask about it. Of course, you're full-time, you just get paid to hunt, right? That's what you get paid to do for a living, right? Is just hunt.
Yeah, that's it.
The full-time, the full actual day job is what exactly with Duck Commander, for those that maybe aren't quite as familiar with what really pays bills?
So my job at Duck Commander is the general manager. And when somebody asks me what that means, I always tell them, well, it's a fancy name for bill collector. That's what my job is now. Now, with that being said, I've done pretty much every job at Duck Commander in my almost 13 years of being there. I've worked, and I still work really closely in sales and marketing, obviously. Because duck hunting's a weird deal where, like, and we tried it to know this to be true. You have to almost have a duck hunter running the show, because the waterfowl community is so nuanced that if you bring somebody in from outside that's like, oh no, you plug and play this, and this, and it'll work. Not with this bunch of paranoid schizophrenics. No, sir. No, sir. It just isn't it. So you have to you have to be able to keep your thumb on top of that, really. But for the rest of our crew, Godwin is still in there every day building duck calls, along with a guy named Jay Stone. And my job is to sell them and work with our warehouse guys. And we're not very big. I mean, I've got like 21 or 22 employees under me. We're not, the show made us look like they took that term multi-million they used a lot of creative liberty with what multi-million meant. Multi-million before the show started meant, we were really like a $2.5-3 million company. That is greater than one. So I guess it is multi.
It is multi.
But when you hear multi, you think of 20, 25, 30, or even 100. And so that we are a seasonal business, very much so, that depends on a really tight budget to make everything work right, where we all still get paid. And like when I started at Duck Commander, there were times that they would ask me to hold my check till Tuesday. Like, hey man, we're supposed to get paid from Walmart on Tuesday or Monday. We'll get the check in the bank. Can you not cash this till then? Yeah, man. Cool. But it was fine. It was a sacrifice you made for an opportunity that you really wanted to chase after. But yeah, that's my day to day in a nutshell, is to make sure that all of our stuff is taken care of. It all falls on me. I'm the kind of leader where I don't let stuff fall on my troops. It starts here. It's going to fall on me before it falls to them. I may have to go talk to them, but at the end of the day, the Robertsons know if there's something that is missed, or there's a problem or anything like that, it's me. I could have done better. I should have done better. And I'm willing to wear that for the guys and gals that work for me, because I believe, in my mind, that's what a leader really is. It's not a guy who sits in the biggest office, which isn't big, much smaller than this hotel room. And but it's a guy that'll get there and battle with them. Like during our Black Friday and Cyber Monday and all those sales, I'm down there packaging boxes. I'm stuffing orders. I'm right there with those guys, letting them know, like, I'm with you. Like, here, let's do this. Like, if we bring 3 extra hands, if the toilet stops up, like, give me the mop bucket. Like, let's stop the problem, and then we'll figure out who to call to fix it. And I think my folks really enjoy working with me and working under me because of that mindset. And it's something I pride myself in. It's something that I was taught from watching Willie do it. When I first started there, he was a very active leader as far as getting in the trenches with the employees. And I took note of that. And it's something that I saw my parents do in their respective careers too, of getting in there in the trenches with their employees, where really you want to feel more like a coworker than a boss per se. But also to know that they just, like in football, when your coach would get ejected or baseball or something, when they'd get ejected out of the game for defending you, it made you feel good. And I'm that guy. Like, I will defend you to the bottom, and we'll go with it. And so, but that's, day to day is 9 to 5 esque, like I said, with a cell phone.
On good days.
Yeah. With a cell phone that the company pays for, that you're technically never off the clock.
Right.
But that's what we do. Make sure our products are built, packaged, delivered. Had the meetings with all the same people that you guys do, just in different categories: the Bass Pro Cabela's, the academies, the fleet farms, the Amazons, the Tractor Supplies, you name it. We have to do all that, do the presentations. And we all do it all in-house. We don't sub anything out. I got a couple of guys that work for me on video production and photography. Keep them busy pretty well year-round too. And we're just a pretty small, tight-knit team that I have not heard anybody ever at Duck Commander say, that ain't my job. Because I'm pretty sure if you wouldn't be there very long. We pick the ball up and go. Like, if the ball ends up on the ground, we pick it up and run. And that's just the way we are. And it doesn't necessarily fit corporate America style, but we don't really care about that either. So
no, it's both my parents owning their own business. It's something that. I've been in situations where I've worked with people where they say that's not my job. And for me, that right there is the single biggest red flag that I know that I'm not in the right place that I need to be, because that's not how I am. I'm going to try to understand everybody else's job better to help me do mine anyway. But then B, if I can help, I don't know how to approach something and not feel like it's mine anyway. If I work at SPYPOINT, if I work, wherever I may be, I'm raised in a house with 2 folks that own their own business. So I don't know how to not approach it like, well, it's my company. I may just be an employee, but I don't know how to not approach it like it's my company. And I think if we're honest and look back at the places where we've worked, where we enjoyed and where we didn't, it's amazing how often it just comes back to that. It seems so small, but it's so big of, is everybody pulling the same rope? Is everybody pulling the same rope, the same direction? And is everybody else willing to do whatever it is that needs done to make sure that something gets done, as opposed to sitting back and letting another team fail because, well, that's not my job or that's not my team. That's poisonous. There isn't anything good that's going to come from a situation like that. So could not possibly agree more.
Well, at the end of the day too, when you're talking about running it like your own business and all that, when you wear that badge and you're associated with it regardless. So if that one area's got a weakness, the person is going to associate you with that weakness, whether it was your department or not. So why not help pick up that weakness if you can? Like, if you're going to be if you're guilty by association anyway, you might as well take some ownership,
Right.
So
no doubt. Well, we've rambled on for a while. Like I said, we're right up against it. Fall's going to be here before we know it. We already touched on it. You got a trip to Wyoming coming up, and you got those babies coming, so it's going to be a little bit different. But what's plans for fall? And then also, if people aren't already following and want to follow along with what you got going on, where can they do that at?
Well, my hardcore plans for fall right now are 1st September. Let's go chase some whitetails out in Wyoming, where the air is thin and the humidity is non-existent. So I struggle. I don't know how them people live up there with that lack of oxygen, but for 5 days at a time, it's not too bad. And then I'm coming home and going on what I call voluntary restriction. I've told my wife I will stay within a very short drive of the house at all times this fall. Doesn't mean I'm not going to go places, but I'm not going far. You alluded to it earlier. I mean, you got to think early teal season opens September the 10th, and we're August the 2nd or whatever when we're recording this. So, I mean, we're talking about 6 weeks, and it's duck season. It's duck season then, and then they just kind of snowball after that. And then we'll open, that'll be 2 weeks. And then I'll hang out really, really close to home, because that's really getting down to, in theory, the baby time. And then we'll open the weekend before Thanksgiving at the house, run for 2 weeks, close for 2 weeks, and then we'll open and go all the way to the end of January. We've already kind of had a handshake agreement on if I could get 2 days a week to hunt and do my job, not outside of my normal job. I'm still going to have to run duck commander. I don't get to just throw that away because I got 2 kids.
Right.
So outside of just normal things, if I could have like 2 fun days a week or so to kind of do my YouTube stuff that's a little bit outside the scope of Duck Commander's YouTube stuff, then, and she agreed to that. But I'm not going to sit there and mark on a calendar, I didn't get my 2 days this week.
Right.
Some days it may be 1 day, some weeks it may be 0, some it may be 4. We're going to let the kids and our parenting journey determine that. And we're not going to hold anybody liable for what we feel like are wrongs. I've had a lot of people tell me the first 2 months, they said, just remember you love each other when you don't like each other very much. So, so I know those days are coming, but that's kind of my schedule. Just stay super low key around the house, and keep doing the podcast stuff that we're doing on the Duck Call Room, and just kind of take care of the home team, kind of batten down the hatches, protect you and yours first. And then, 2023 will be here before you know it. And then it'll be 2024, and life will have changed.
Moved right on by us.
Yeah, it'll, and you'll look back, in 20 years and you won't even remember about this season or whatever you did or didn't do. And, I'm just here for it all. And super thankful to be able to work with guys like y'all that do, in fact, make my life easier, that allow me to be more present as a husband and soon to be father, where I'm not out there really, you still have to take care of your equipment and do those things and all those things, but it makes it much easier when I can go, ooh, look at there, and that kind of deal. And so super thankful for that partnership for sure. And just looking forward to what life has next, man. I just play what's in front of you. You can make the best laid plans you want to, and life has a way of saying, not so fast. So,
awesome.
That's what we're looking forward to for sure.
Well, again, congratulations. Keep us posted. Looking forward to seeing them babies when they get here, and good luck this fall. I'm sure we'll talk, but in the meantime, everybody, thanks for listening to the Spy Point podcast. Again, rate, review, subscribe wherever it is that you're consuming it, so that help other people find the content. And of course, go find Justin, go find Duck Commander, and see all the cool stuff they got going on. Appreciate you hopping on today, sir. Thanks so much.
See you, buddy.